If you've ever struggled with making the mountains in your paintings look distant and majestic, then this video will change everything for you, because I'm going to show you the secrets of creating realistic mountains that have depth and distance and really pop off your canvas with this painting here that's inspired by the South Island of New Zealand. So to begin with, I'm painting on an 11" by 14" linen canvas panel made by Seascape, and if you want to get some, I've put a link in the description box below. And I'm sketching out my composition with burnt sienna and a little bit of pale drying gel as I'm using oil paints. The brand of oil paints I'm using is Blue Ridge Oils, and again, if you want to get some, I've put a link in the description box below. Now, creating distance and depth in your mountain landscape starts right at the beginning by painting the dark values and shadows first. Now what this does is it allows us to create a tonal range that we can work towards, making it easier to paint the areas in light. So the general rule in landscapes is we'll find our darkest darks and our lightest lights in the foreground, and yet as landforms recede, the darks aren't as dark and the lights aren't as light. So with this in mind, I start painting the darkest darks, which are in these rocks and boulders by the stream here, and I've used a mix of ultramarine blue with some burnt sienna, which pretty much creates black, and then there's also a little bit of alizarin crimson as well. Now I'm using large brushes here compared with the size of the canvas, number 6 bristle flat brushes, because I want to get some loose painterly marks and not get bogged down in detail, at least not to begin with. So if you're struggling with painting too much detail in your paintings, start the blocking stage with the biggest brushes that you feel comfortable with. Now on to the next tier of depth here in the midground. So as we're going further away, those shadows are starting to get lighter. So what I've done is I've used the same colours that I used for the boulders in the foreground, but then I mixed in some titanium white and also keep the mixture more on the blue side, as many of these shadows have a blue cast to them, especially here in New Zealand. Now by making the shadows slightly lighter, it's going to start and push it away into the midground compared to the shadows in the foreground. And then for the mountain in the background, which is the main focal area of the painting, those shadows have to be even lighter. So again, I've used the same colours but with a lot more titanium white and ultramarine blue. So again, the shadows have a nice blue cast to them. We want to keep our colours clean as well. This is one of the reasons I paint on a white canvas, but also I try and use as fewer colours as possible when I'm mixing them together. Sometimes it's a little difficult, especially if you're mixing greens, but for these mountain shadows you don't need many colours. So by painting my darks first, I've already set up a tonal framework for the whole painting, and this is one of the key things to creating depth and distance in your landscapes, especially mountain landscapes, and it's really easy to do as well. So as you can see there, I've started to paint the areas in light, and it's made it a lot easier to get the values and the saturation of the colour correct when it's painted next to the shadow areas. Following this, I started painting the sky. I kept the sky simple as it was a crisp sunny morning. For the sky I used a mix of ultramarine blue with a little cobalt teal and some titanium white. And again, I used a large bristle flat brush and just painted it with downwards brush marks to create texture in the sky. Now working my way forward in the painting, I started to add the variety of greens that are in the landscape. Now it's important that the greens are not too saturated where the distant mountain is, and then I increase the saturation as I come forward in the landscape, and I've used combinations of yellow ochre, cadmium yellow medium and ultramarine blue to start with, along with titanium white. Then I adjust the mixtures by adding colours such as cobalt teal or phthalo green, and having a red element in there such as alizarin crimson, burnt sienna or cadmium red light. I generally use cadmium red light for greens that are in the foreground. The red is going to help bring harmony to the greens, make them look more organic and natural, but they also help to desaturate your greens as well if they're looking too vibrant. Now then, on to the foreground here, and I'm painting the water, and for this I've used a mix of ultramarine blue with a little yellow ochre, some titanium white and a little phthalo green. So one of the other things about painting landscapes in general is I'm keeping an eye on the colour harmony, and this is where your painting will just look nice, it will read well to the viewer, and you've just got nice natural but vibrant looking colours. And the way we can do this is by using common colours throughout the painting. So for example, I've used a lot of ultramarine blue and titanium white throughout the painting, as well as burnt sienna, which I've used in the rock faces and the faces of the mountain. All the while I'm keeping an eye on the value. Value is the most important thing, as you can get away with perhaps not mixing the exact right colour, but so long as your values are working, that's what's going to create the illusion of distance in your landscapes. Now at this point in the painting I've almost finished blocking it in, and it's all about getting the main colours and values down there, especially establishing the tonal values and being able to create that depth and distance, which started right at the beginning by painting my dark values first. And here I'm able to go and restate the dark values and just start introducing some of the cracks in the side of the mountains. Now the next important secret to creating depth and distance in your mountains, and indeed any landscape, is to keep the whole thing tonally darker to start with, at least during the blocking in stage, and then you've got plenty of room throughout the painting to add lighter layers on top, which is really going to build out the depth and sense of realism in your painting. So even the snow here in the mountains, I've made the value a little bit darker by adding some burnt sienna, ultramarine blue and alizarin crimson, just the tiniest amount, but it's enough to darken that layer of white so that it sits back in the landscape. And then later on, once the painting's dry, we can start building up our lighter tones and save our lightest lights until last. And this is going to give the whole painting depth and a feeling of realism. Now if you'd like to learn more about creating depth and distance in your landscapes, as well as mixing colour and creating a sense of realism, getting the tonal values correct, as well as composition, then check out my free landscape painting blueprint. Just click the link below and I'll send it over to you. As I say, it's completely free. Enjoy. So at this point we're well into the painting, into the modelling stage, where we're working on individual zones within the painting, such as the mountain in the background, or in this case now the midground and foreground. And I'm working on the vegetation here, just adding lighter layers of paint than the previous layer, and that's what's going to help to build up the depth. Now some of those yellow tones in there are from some of the mountain grass that's growing along the side of the bank, and for this I've used a mix of yellow ochre with a little alizarin crimson and some titanium white. I also allow it to mix in with the green a little as well, so that the colours look more harmonious. Now as part of the modelling stage here, I'm adding more details and building them up, especially here in the foreground with the rocks, restating some of those dark shadows, adding in cracks, and I'm switching up my brushes and using more synthetic brushes which have a much more defined edge to them for those finer details. I'm keeping in mind as well, I'm going to find my darkest darks in the foreground. So with starting off with a painting with loose brushwork, we can add as much detail as we like afterwards, and the painting's still going to have a looseness and vibrancy to it. Now it's here that I'm starting to build up those lighter layers. If you remember, I said I keep the painting tonally darker to start with, and it means that when we build up the lighter layers we can start creating a lot more depth within the painting, and it's just going to add to the overall realism. So you can see that the lights in the rocks here are darker at this stage, and now I can start adding some highlights to them, and that's really bringing out the three-dimensional form of the rocks. Now I'd like to quickly introduce the sponsor of this video, which is Craft Geek. Craft Geek make artist tripod easels, as well as phone tripods, music stands and projector stands. Now I was looking for a tripod easel that would fit into my small studio, and that's when Craft Geek reached out to me. Pure coincidence, but they sent me one of these and I absolutely love it. And I generally don't promote anything on my channel that I wouldn't use myself, so I've been using this for my paintings. It's really easy to set up, it's lightweight, and you can even use it for plein air painting as well. Now I was so impressed with this artist easel that I even ordered the phone tripod as well, which I've been using to make Instagram reels to show off my art. Now, if you'd like to get yourself a tripod easel or a phone tripod or any of the other products that CraftGeek make, right now they're giving away a 15% discount. Just type in the code SamuelArt at the checkout to get 15% off your order. Now then, back to the painting, and I'm really getting into a lot more fine detail now, especially working on the rocks and boulders in the foreground as well as the vegetation, and I'm using a lot smaller brushes and mainly synthetic brushes, for example these synthetic flat brushes. So as I said earlier, the key to building up realism in a mountain landscape or any landscape is to start everything off darker and then start building up those lighter tones as each layer dries. Then the other thing you can do as well is to start adding things such as reflected light, which is what I've done in the side of the rocks here. And also working in the midground here, just adding more lighter tone to the vegetation, which is adding to the realism of the trees. So as I said, modelling is where we're working on individual zones in the painting and just bringing out the forms, so things like the rocks, the rivers, the trees, and especially of course the mountains. And I'm just building up lighter tones and letting it dry and then saving the lightest layers until the very end. So really what I'm doing at this point is I'm just preparing the painting now to be able to add those lightest lights right at the end of the painting, which is when the whole painting will really start to pop. Before I do that, there's still more details to be added. For example, this mountain here that's in the midground that's just peeking through the edge of the canvas. Now another way we can add realism to the scene is to add more shadows. So for example, I was adding more shadows to some of the trees and vegetation that's in the midground, and that again helps to make them look more three-dimensional. Generally landscapes are easier to paint when there's strong shadows in them, especially mountain landscapes. Now here I'm thinking about getting this painting finished and we're back to the mountain, and this is where I'm adding lighter layers of paint, which is really going to bring out that mountain face. I'm also going more sparingly with the paint here, just gently building up some more of those details, and it's adding more of a three-dimensional effect to the mountains. For this I use a mix of titanium white with some burnt sienna, a little bit of ultramarine blue and a little bit of alizarin crimson, so it's a very low chroma colour, chroma being another word for saturation. And I'm applying the paint here with a small 1/8 of an inch dagger brush. Now here we move on to another secret to painting realistic mountains, and that's painting the snow, and more importantly getting the snow to look like it's real and that it's going to pop off the canvas. So this is where I'm saving my lightest values right at the very end, and to paint the snow here I just used a mix of titanium white with just a tiny amount of yellow ochre, and the yellow ochre is just going to warm up the paint a little bit. Now I'm then able to use that same mixture to add the highlights and sparkles to the water. So I'm just painting little dots that are going to be sparkles using the same mix of titanium white with a little bit of yellow ochre, and I'm applying the paint here with a number 0 rigger brush. This is a really useful brush to use for some fine detail at the end of your painting. Now before we end the video, I'll just recap on the things you need to do to make your mountain landscapes look realistic and have depth and distance within them. So the first thing, and this goes for any landscape painting, is to paint your dark values and shadows first, because this sets up a tonal framework that makes it a lot easier afterwards to paint the areas in light and get the saturation of your colours correct. The next thing is to use loose brushwork to start with. This is just going to add a nice vitality to your paintings. You can then add some detail later on. And the other thing is keep your paintings tonally darker to start with, and then you've got plenty of room to add your lighter values as you work through the painting. Then when you work on the modelling stage, working on individual zones, just take your time with it and just build up the details, going as detailed or as loose as you like, and just building up those lighter layers of paint. Then last of all, you want to save your lightest values until the end of the painting. So in this case, painting the snow on top of the mountains and the sparkles in the water, and adding a few highlights to the foliage and vegetation as well as the rocks. This is what is going to make your painting pop and create that convincing sense of depth and distance. I hope you enjoyed this video and it inspires you to paint some mountain landscapes. Thanks for watching. If you want to learn more about painting mountains, watch this video here, and I'll see you in the next video.